Hello everyone, and welcome to another video here on the Bill Brooker Nice channel. And today I'm in a bit of a different location because we are looking at some Blu-Rays and some DVDs today, which are in this room. And by the way, this is like really comfortable, so I might be sitting here a bit more in future videos. One announcement before we continue. I've decided not to go with the new recording style I tried in the Lego M Portal review, because I thought it was going to be better than it was, because when I was recording it looked like it was going to be like a higher frame rate and the quality was going to be better. And once I uploaded it to YouTube, I thought it might be a smidgen better, but it's not worth the decreased battery life of my camera, the increased memory storage, takes up a lot more memory, so I guess it wouldn't be increased memory storage, it would be decreased, wouldn't it, I think. And it just didn't look all that better to me, so especially for the purposes of the BBO9 files, where I'm always in a constant battle with my camera's battery life and memory storage for the footage and stuff. I'm definitely not going to be going that route. If you really liked it, I may do it for some of the other videos. You can let me know in the comments, but otherwise I'm just not going to do that. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to this today. Now, before I start, I want to say this isn't like to brag and say, look at all the DVDs and Blu-rays I have, because, well, frankly, it's not a whole lot to brag about because I don't have that many. And it's more just to give you an idea of the kinds of movies and stuff I like, and to share with you some of my other favorites that I don't always talk about all the time. Because you guys know I love Lord of the Rings, Jurassic Park, Star Wars, and all that. But there's quite a few today that I've never really talked about, at least not in depth. So I would like to expose you to them, and you can share some similar movies with me, and I might check them out. So let's go ahead and start. First of all, a couple movies and a miniseries I kind of co-own with my dad, because we both like these movies. So he bought them, but now I kind of like them, and in one case I think I like them more than he ever did. The first one we have is The Patriot, starring Mel Gibson, the guy from Braveheart. It's a very good film, at least to me it is. It's one of those movies that makes you go, America, heck yeah! It is rated R, but I think it's just for language and violence, and it might even just be for violence. I know there's none of the other R-rated material in there, and certainly no drugs back then. But it's a really great movie. Highly recommend it, especially with 4th of July coming up before too long. If you're sick of watching Jaws, which, well, I'm really not, but if you want an alternative, this is a great film. Definitely check it out. I don't think it takes place on 4th of July. It might, but I doubt it. But it is definitely a movie for 4th of July and stuff, or you can watch it any old time. Great film, though. Another one we have here is Saving Private Ryan, which won tons of Academy Awards. Another Steven Spielberg, John Williams film. This is another one that's rated R, but once again, it's just for violence and lots of language. But if you're above, I don't want to judge sex. I know some people are like, oh, you're 5, you can watch this R-rated movie, and some people are like, you're 20. And you want to watch that? Heck no. So I know there's a wide spectrum there, but for the average family, I'd say if you're above 13, 14, you can probably see this. The main reason, other than the language, is that it does have definitely more realistic battle scenes than you see in other films. But once again, it's a great film. It's got Tom Hanks in there. He's always great. Matt Damon, the guy from The Martian, is in there as well. I believe he is Private Ryan. It's all about this group of soldiers who are trying to save Private Ryan because he's missing. And I won't spoil it whether they find him or not. So, a great film. And the other one that I kind of co-own is a miniseries called Horatio Hornblower, which in this case, my dad loves these, but I think since he showed them to me, I kind of like them more now because I've read most of the books. And I think I've seen these twice now. At least some of them. Great miniseries. It had such a high budget that they couldn't make any more of them because they were so expensive. They talked about doing a silver screen movie at one time, but I don't think that's going to happen. But Johan Gruffels, I don't really know his name, but this guy right here, the guy who plays Hornblower, I know he's also in the first Fantastic Four, not Fantastic Four, which was bad, but not as bad as the new one, apparently. And he was also in that the movie with The Rock. What was it called? San Andreas. I know he was in that. I didn't see that, but Andrew didn't. He was like, hey, Horatio Hornblower's in it, and he's bad this time. But he's a great guy. My favorite episode is definitely the first one, The Duel, where he's He's just made it onto the ship, and there's this really mean guy who's above him, so he can't, you know, fight back and stuff, but he has to deal with this guy. Eventually, he does have to come to blows with him and stuff. Great episode. And there's 4 different sets. I don't know if you can get these particular ones anymore, but you cannot get these on Blu-ray, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have them in a heartbeat. But the first set I have is the original ones. There's 4 episodes. The Duel, The Fire Ships, The Duchess and the Devil, and The Wrong War. And these came out in... should be a date on here. 1999. Then we have The Adventure Continues, which came out in 2001, 2 years later. This one only has 2 in it. The Mutiny, which is definitely my second favorite. Another crazy guy, except this time he's the captain. So there's mutiny and stuff. Kind of predictable. And Retribution. So there's that one. And then in 2003, I believe it was. No, 2003. We had The New Adventures, which as of now are the final ones. And that contains Loyalty and Duty. This is an Emmy Award-winning series, by the way. It is a great miniseries. Some of the highest quality television I've ever seen. I can't say number 1, because there's another high-quality television series I'm going to be showing you here in just a little bit. That is the definition of my childhood. So I kind of have to save the number 1 spot for that. But this is definitely number 2 for me. So I got another stack right here. These are all of my non-documentary DVDs, because I have a lot of documentary DVDs. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with documentaries. Not so much anymore. I still like to watch them from time to time, but when I was a kid, that was like all I wanted to watch was documentaries. But anyway, here's some more DVDs. Starting out with a Ray Harryhausen film, Mysterious Islands. Now, if you don't know who Ray Harryhausen is, he's not the director or anything. He is the amazing stop-motion animator who did such classic films as Jason and the Argonauts, this one, Mysterious Island, the original Clash of the Titans, The Valley of Wanji, First Men in the Moon. That is a great film. Definitely check that out. He did so many. He didn't do the original King Kong, because the guy who did the original King Kong was his inspiration. And Ray Harryhausen now is like the inspiration for every director who's done a monster movie of all time. I know Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, they all love this guy. Anyway, this is Mysterious Islands. Now, it takes Jules Verne's story and it blows it completely out of proportion, but in a good way. I have not actually read Mysterious Island, but I do know that I don't think there's a whole lot of giant creatures and stuff in there, if any. But this one has a giant crab. That's a famous scene right there. A giant bird and some giant bees, and I think there's a giant nautilus too. Just a bunch of giant animals. But it's a great film. Definitely recommend checking it out. Not my favorite Harryhausen film by any means, but definitely one of my favorites. I do have my favorite here, which I thought I had these organized a little bit, but I don't. Another one of my favorites, It Came From Beneath the Sea. Sounds cheesy, is kind of cheesy, but in a good way. This is one of the most lovably cheesy films of all time. It's one of the first films to feature the destruction of the Golden Gate Bridge, which has been stolen by so many other films since then. Planet of the Apes movies, I'm sure some Godzilla films, I think Pacific Rim as well. Although that might have been New York, I'm not sure. But anyway, Havoc, Chaos, Destruction, it says on the cover. So you know it's going to be good when you see that. This was, once again, Ray Harryhausen. This time there's only one creature, but, I mean, when you see the animations of the tentacles and stuff, of course it's outdated. Of course it doesn't really hold up by today's standards. But without this, we would not have such films as Jurassic Park, Alien, Jaws, anything with a monster in it, a high-tech monster, even a CGI monster. We would not have those if it were not for Ray Harryhausen and his pioneering feats in stop-motion animation. And my favorite Ray Harryhausen film, I have a lot of other ones that I don't actually have on DVD. First Men in the Moon is definitely the one I'd like to have the most. But Jason and the Argonauts, this is probably my favorite Ray Harryhausen film. It tells the classic tale of Jason and his Argonauts, a Greek legend. Features the famous scene, classic scene where some soldiers fight skeletons. So you actually have combined live action and stop motion, which is really cool. And it took him like an hour, or I think it was like 6 hours to animate 1 second footage. It's really amazing stuff. Of course, you also have the Hydra on here, the Hydra that guards the Golden Fleece. That's the whole reason that he sets out on this epic quest. There's some other creatures in there too. I think this is the one with the giant golden statue, the Colossus, I think it is. I'm sure there's a couple others too. So, definitely, Jason and the Argonauts, watch this one for sure. The First Man on the Moon is one of my favorites too. That one's kind of funny too. Some of the actors in there are really great. Anyway, some other old favorites. The Twilight Zone. Now, they do have this on Blu-ray, but for some reason it is completely overpriced. It's like $250 for 5 seasons, and if you buy each individual season, it's like 40 or 50 bucks or more. I don't know why that is. Maybe they're rare or something. But I stopped buying them on DVD when I realized they were on Netflix and actually in better quality. So I might get these on Blu-ray eventually, but for right now I just have the first 2 seasons on DVD. Great series. Great anthology series. The new Cloverfield movies. Cloverfield came out in 2008, and then 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's kind of taken some inspiration from this, because J.J. Abrams has said he kind of wants to do a Twilight Zone-esque thing with this, except he wants to tie it all together in the end, or at least there's rumors of that. But, you know, each week is a completely different story. I don't think there's any two-parters on these. And they dealt with everything from aliens to robots, space travel without aliens, and just some weird stuff too, monsters every once in a while. They weren't really scary, especially by today's standards. Back then, you know, people got scared more easily for some reason. But there's a couple creepy ones, even by today's standards, like the Living Doll. That's a creepy one. But yeah, great series. Definitely recommend checking it out. Season 4, not so great. They decided to go with almost hour-long episodes, and it didn't really work out. There's this awful episode called The Bard. It's like one of the worst TV episodes I've seen ever, about bringing Shakespeare back from the dead with voodoo or something. It was absolutely terrible. There were a couple good ones in Season 4, but most of the time it was the shorter ones, because they just needed about 20 to 25 minutes to tell their story, and that was good enough. That's some classic stuff here. Time Enough at Last, my favorite episode of all time, with Henry Bemis the Bookworm. Twilight Zone, one of the greatest series of all time, at least in my opinion. What else have we got here? We have the Lost Worlds. Now, the version that's displayed on the cover is really not that great. In fact, it kind of stinks, because they just tape some stuff on lizards and they battle and stuff. It looks really awful. And it's really sad, because the reason I have this is for the 1925 version. This one is from the 60s, 1960. And the one from 1925, that's almost 100 years ago, is better than this one. That's kind of sad. Because that one features some stop motion, not by Ray Harryhausen. I don't know who that was, but this is before Harryhausen's time. Features a famous scene between an Allosaurus and a Brontosaurus fighting on a cliff. That's the best part of that one. But yeah, this one, not so great, but it's worth having for the 1925 black and white silent version. What else have we got here? We have Moby Dick with Gregory Peck. I have actually not seen this yet, but it's got a giant white whale attacking people, and it's got Gregory Peck, so it's gotta be pretty good, right? Got interested in this after I'd seen In the Heart of the Sea. It's kind of like the older version, the older fictionalized version. So I definitely want to check this out. He kind of looks like Abraham Lincoln in this photo, doesn't he? He looks like Abraham Lincoln in it. He's supposed to be Captain Ahab, I believe. So, someone said it's one of the great motion pictures of our time. And of course, our time to this guy was 1956. Which is not exactly our time anymore. But I'm sure this is going to be good. And I'm definitely going to watch this soon. What else we got here? We have a kind of, at least when I was a kid, I thought, underrated miniseries called Dinotopia. It's about these two brothers that are involved in a plane crash, and they wash up on an island where people and talking, in some cases, dinosaurs coexist peacefully. And I had not seen this for a while. It might be really cheesy to me now, but back when I was a kid, I loved this miniseries. And it weren't all talking dinosaurs. Like, they had some tyrannosaurs and stuff that were mean and tried to eat people. And probably the coolest part was that they had like a training academy for people riding pterosaurs. It's not pteranodon, it's Quetzalcoatlus. That is a real dinosaur. Well, not dinosaur, pterosaur, flying dinosaur to most people. I'm not trying to sound snobby, because it is easy to get confused. But when you're a dinosaur fanatic like me, you know, I have to correct people. Anyway, so they train people to fly on these things. It's really cool. At least when I was a kid, I thought it was cool. And I think it's about, let's see, 60, 20, 180, 12, 18, 20. It's about 4 hours long on 2 discs. So like I said, it might not hold by my standards now that I'm a teenager and stuff, older teenager. But someone on the cover here said, "Move over, Spider-Man in Star Wars Episode 2. As Shakespeare would say, a hit, a palpable hit." Now, saying it's better than Spider-Man and Attack of the Clones, it's not really saying a whole lot. So, that's a bit of a warning sign to me now. But, you know, you might want to check it out. And, well, someone on the back here said, "I can't miss Blockbuster." It was a TV thing, it wasn't a movie. I don't think you could, 4-hour movie in a theater? I don't think you could do that. I don't even know if that's legal. But yeah, you might want to check it out. I remember for sure there's at least some cool scenes in there, and as a whole, I think it's still pretty good. Even now that I'm older. If you're a kid, you're going to love it. Anyway, let's see what else we got here. We have a series I'm watching right now called Poldark. I realized it's on Blu-ray after I got this. I didn't think they would because it was PBS, and I didn't think they really were into Blu-ray. Yeah, Blu-ray. Sorry. But anyway, it's not quite what I thought it was. I was expecting more of a Horatio Hornblower type thing, you know, fighting and sea battles and stuff. And I got a romance instead, the love triangle, and some wormy little guys in the background trying to mess things up for Aidan Turner, Keeley from The Hobbit. And after watching this, I realized that Aidan Turner is a pretty good actor. You can't really tell on The Hobbit, you know, because he's not in there that much. I mean, he is in there a lot, but he doesn't do it much, except die. But yeah, Aidan Turner's a pretty good actor. He makes this series watchable for sure, at least, even for me. I'm not really into the romance and stuff, but, you know, it's just a short little mini-series. They are going to bring it back, I believe, later this year for a 2nd season. But as of now, it's only like 8 or 9 episodes, so I figured, you know, I'm going to check it out. The final thing I have on the sitting on the sidelines for right now is what I was telling you earlier, the greatest, at least in my opinion, television thing. I can't call it a series. I can't even call it a mini-series because it came out in such jagged installments. More on that later. Anyway, it is the Walking With series. I don't care what you are. I don't care if you're creationist, evolutionist, or somewhere in between. Kind of like me. Creation didn't have to come first, but I do believe in some evolution. Anyway, this isn't a theological discussion today. Anyway, I don't care what you are, you're going to get something out of this. Even if you think everything you're talking about in the background is baloney. And some of the stuff like, here are our distant ancestors, the backboned fish. I don't buy that. I think it's very condescending to me to compare me to a fish that lived 500 million years ago. I find that insulting. If anyone ever does that to me, I will punch them. I will find you, and I will punch you. Anyway, even if you think this is jargon and baloney, you gotta see this at least for the special effects. The special effects for a TV series are very, very good, especially in Walking with Dinosaurs. This is groundbreaking. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you about these in order they came out in. This was one of the most groundbreaking miniseries of all time. This was Jurassic Park meets a documentary, and it was absolutely amazing. It was way more exciting than a regular documentary. It was a 6-episode event, and it focused on, you know, the usuals, T-Rex, some raptors, all that. But then it also immortalized some other dinosaurs. Allosaurus, no one had ever heard of that before, and you may still not have. But this miniseries and a later special helped to make this dinosaur at least somewhat famous, Allosaurus. You've probably at least heard of it. You might not know what it looks like. I'll show you a picture in a minute here. But then it also focused on the pterosaurs and the marine reptiles that were living around at the same time. Liopleurodon, it makes T-Rex look like a piece of broccoli. Pardon the analogy, that was stupid, but it was the first thing that came to mind. This thing lived in the ocean. It was like 90 feet long, at least 50. There's some controversy there as to how big it actually was. In this series, it's absolutely enormous. It's like 80 or 90 feet long, but scientists are saying it may have only been about 50, 45. But in any case, it makes Jaws look like a minnow, and it makes T-Rex look kind of wimpy, because it's absolutely ferocious. One of the best scenes in this is there's a dinosaur standing at the shore of the ocean, and it's looking at its reflection, and all of a sudden this thing just leaps out of the water, crunches its neck, and pulls it back into the water. It's one of my favorite scenes of anything of all time. Love it. But yeah, the special effects in here for a miniseries from 1999, absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, like I said, it meets that mix of, we want to see this dinosaur because it's great, it's famous, Stegosaurus, T-Rex, all that, while also bringing in some other things that no one's really ever heard of, and making it really interesting. So anyway, this came out in 1999, 6-episode miniseries. People ate this up like candy. So, in 2000, they came out with another short program, just a little 20-minute thing called Allosaurus. Because everyone seemed to really like Allosaurus, and they wanted to see more of him, because there's only one episode of this. So they made a whole special just about one Allosaurus. Once again, amazing. There's another great scene with a pack of Allosauruses. I think that's the plural of it. No, Allosaurs. There we go. Allosaurs hunting down a herd of long-necked dinosaurs. Another great scene on this this dried up inland sea. It's just like a salt thing now. Salty desert. So once again, special effects are great. If you get the DVD, there's another 25 minute program on here that's more science-based. But at least get it for the first program. And that's Allosaurus, by the way. Hopefully you recognize him. If not, check this out, and you'll never forget. Then the next one came out, that was 2000. Then in 2001 we had Walking with Prehistoric Beasts. This focused on what happened after the dinosaurs died out, at least in the evolutionary time scale. And we see some other really cool things. Once again, it meets that great mix. Because you want to see the cavemen, you want to see the woolly mammoths, you want to see some saber-toothed tigers, but then we also meet some incredible animals, like this guy right here, Entelodon. It's the pig from hell. It's absolutely scary looking. That's its name. That's what people call it, the pig from hell. There's also a giant, 60-foot or so whale with teeth that ate other whales. Now this does not have Megalodon, that comes later. I'm sure you've heard of Megalodon. If you haven't, I'm sorry, but I do take some offense. Once again, none of these come on Blu-ray, but the DVD cases are really nice. 2 discs on here, 2 discs there, 1 disc for Allosaurus. Another 6-part series here. Definitely recommend checking this out as well. Now there is Walking with Cavemen. I forget when that comes out. I don't actually own that. I probably should just to complete the series. But come on, who cares about cavemen? People are boring. We want to see dinosaurs and stuff. People are. If I want to see people, I'll go outside. Anyway, next came in 2005. I think that's next. No, it's not. Scratch that. In 2003, we had Chased by Dinosaurs. This is what was that noise? I don't know what that was. Anyway, I'm getting excited talking about these. I haven't talked about these to anyone in a long time. This is another little mini-series with 5 episodes, 2 about dinosaurs and 3. That's a 3-parter about sea monsters throughout the geological timescale. And this is my favorite installment out of the whole series. Absolutely great. Features one of my favorite guys of all time, Nigel Marven. He's a great actor / naturalist / zoologist / time traveler in this. You almost believe that this guy has gone back in time and is hunting dinosaurs and stuff. You almost believe it. The first episode features South America, about 170 million years ago, and Giganotosaurus, bigger and badder than T-Rex, hunting down sauropods, Argentinosaurus, huge 150-foot-long dinosaur. The second one features an herbivore with these huge claws that, of course, people thought it would, hack and slash and kill things, but now we actually believe it's an herbivore and it used it to pull down plants and stuff. Interesting. And that one's being hunted by some raptors and a giant cousin of T-Rex. But then the 3-parter, that's the best part of this for sure. Chased by Sea Monsters. It features the 7 deadliest seas of all time, and you're going to meet some really amazing creatures here. If you thought that dinosaurs were big and bad, then, if you were being chased by one, You wouldn't want to hop in the water because you don't know what's out there. There's some scary stuff. Megalodon. This lived approximately just a few million years ago to a few thousand years ago. You know, that's kind of scary. A 50-foot giant shark that could eat jaws and did eat whales. This thing would crunch whales in half. There's also some giant squid-like things with shells. Liopleurodon comes back. He's really cool. Mosasaurs. All kinds of amazing creatures in this. And these were all real. There's no denying it, no matter what you believe. There's no denying that all these things existed. So you gotta see this. You gotta learn about how cool our planet really is. Because sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, or cooler than fiction. And in this case, it definitely is. And Nigel Marvin, he's a great guy. I love him. And he helps make this my favorite installment of this miniseries and one of my favorite programs of all time. In 2005, we got the final installment. I'm losing my breath talking so much. There we go. Anyway, in 2005, we got the final installment, which is actually the first installment, before the dinosaurs. So this is what happened before the one of the worst extinctions of all time. It wiped out 95% of life on planet Earth, approximately. This is a three-parter and tells all about what happened. This is the most ridiculous one as far as the jargon goes with, oh, we're the descendants of fish and stuff. But even if you hate that, there's some really cool animals in here. You're going to meet Dimetrodon, which is kind of like Spinosaurus on 4 legs. You're going to meet some early ancestors of crocodiles, a giant millipede. A giant millipede was like 5 feet long and really wide, and it would attack things. Crazy. That is the final part of that series, other than Walking with Cavemen. But this is kind of connected to it. Prehistoric Park. Nigel Marvin comes back for a 6-episode event where he goes back in time and brings dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals to the present day. And he's attempting to set up a kind of Jurassic Park thing. Just kind of like Walking with Dinosaurs crossed with Jurassic Park. And it is by the same producers of Walking with Dinosaurs, so it is kind of like a continuation of it. Once again, you got some usuals. You got T-Rex, you got the saber-toothed cat. You're also going to meet 40-foot crocodiles. You're going to meet Arthropleura again. And there's definitely some connections between this and the Walking with series. And you're also going to meet some other giant sauropods, Archaeopteryx. But actually, no, I don't think it is Archaeopteryx. I think it's a similar creature. But yeah, some feathered dinosaurs and stuff. Once again, amazing series, one of my favorites. I don't like it quite as much as Chased by Dinosaurs and some of the Walking with stuff, but it's really good. By the way, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but this series inspired the fictional TV series on BBC called Primeval, which is been compared to Doctor Who with dinosaurs. So I've just started watching that. I haven't really formed an opinion yet because I've only watched like half an episode. But it looks like it's going to be pretty good. So if you like that series, you can thank this series for that. This is kind of like the real-life version of that series. Anyway, I'm talking far too much. Let me finish up with some documentaries on the DVDs, and then we'll get to the Blu-rays, which is the best of the best, other than some of the other ones that I mentioned that aren't available on Blu-ray. Walking the series, if that was on Blu-ray, I would own it.